Welcome to VSB News Online for Friday, November 7th. I'm Peter Kitzel. Whatever your particular interest, you will find something to interest you in the 30-page throne speech which Governor George Ferguson took 70 minutes to deliver this morning while thunder and lightning played overhead. For the highlights and stories on some of the main issues, here's VSB News' Brian Darby.
We learned this morning that the grocers are to extend their Wednesday 10% discount until at least February the 15th, 2015. That roadside breath testing is on the horizon, and that there is to be a permanent sports hall of fame. That child pornography is to be outlawed, that domestic gaming is on the cards, that an all-volunteer regiment is being addressed, that medical marijuana has been given the nod, and that the Orange Valley Centre and Opportunity Workshop are to be merged. If that was not enough, the police are to have greater discretion dealing with first-time offenders. The Health Council will be able to name and shame employers who do not provide health insurance for employees. And proposals will be sought to locate a huge solar panel farm on the airport finger. The public will be invited to serve on the 100 government boards, and the banks will be encouraged to free up their borrowing and offer such services for seniors as reverse mortgages. And so it goes. We turn now to the main issues and begin with tourism, where the news is all good.
Tourism received a well-deserved boost in the throne speech. Its future development could mean more jobs for Bermudians. The governor used the speech to make an important announcement.
Groundbreaking is set to take place next week at Ariel Sands, the start of an $85 million cottage colony development that will create between 50 and 70 jobs during construction. Phase 2 of the $90 million Hamilton Princess redevelopment is underway, creating more than 250 construction jobs at the historic Hamilton Harbour property and at South Beach in Southampton, where the Princess Beach Club will be built. With Phase 2 construction completed by summer 2015, the hotel will be looking to hire 115 more people to staff its operations. Bermuda's pursuit of the America's Cup is another example of the government working to achieve economic growth and job creation. To that end, the government will introduce legislation in this session to establish an America's Cup Act, legislation that will be required for an America's Cup World Series racing event in 2015, and, if Bermuda is ultimately selected, to host the America's Cup finals in June 2017. In the event Bermuda has the privilege of hosting the Cup finals, experience from former host venues indicates it will have a powerful impact on our economy over the next 3 years, attracting worldwide attention and generating jobs, investment and revenue across multiple sectors, including hospitality, construction, transport, security, retail, wholesale, real estate, and telecommunications. It will highlight Bermuda's heritage as a maritime sailing destination and give our tourism product unprecedented exposure.
The thorny issue of the decriminalization of medical marijuana received due coverage in the speech.
As promised, the government has led the debate on the issues surrounding cannabis use in this community. Significant public engagement, augmented by scientific research and a full consideration of the criminal justice implications, has helped to shape the government's position on these matters. Therefore, in this session, the legislature will be invited to approve amendments to the Pharmacy and Poisons Act, 1979, and the Misuse of Drugs Act, 1972, to permit the use of specific forms of cannabinoid drugs, cannabis-containing products, for medical purposes. Additionally, in consultation with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Bermuda Police Service, and the Ministry of Legal Affairs, the caution policy will be amended to permit greater discretion on the part of police officers when dealing with first-time offenders who might otherwise have been charged with simple possession of cannabis. The government will also examine the ramifications of fixed penalty notices for certain minor offences. Fixed penalties allow police to issue on-the-spot fines to persons committing an offence, giving them the opportunity to pay the fine out of court. Fixed penalties can ease the burden on the criminal justice system through the elimination of unnecessary court appearances.
And we'll have more news coming right up after this.
Save $2 on 12-ounce bags, all varieties, Dole salads, just $3.99. Great on the grill, fresh Purdue chicken leg quarters, only $1.59 per pound. Chef Boyardee microwave meals, 7.5-ounce tubs, only $1.79. Save 85 cents on Heinz ketchup, 20-ounce easy squeeze bottle, only $3.29. Drink the real thing, regular diet 1-liter bottles of Coca-Cola soda, only $2.19. All stores open till 10 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
The throne speech was a little more encouraging on the subject of the economy than it has been in past years.
Let there be no mistake, the long road to recovery will be made shorter if Bermudians walk it together. Bermudians have already shown they are willing to step up and play their part for the greater good. Since the start of 2013, unionised workers agreed to pay reductions and furlough days. Cabinet ministers and the governor took a 10% pay cut. Grocers kicked in with 10% discount days, and Belco introduced a new discount regime to benefit lower consumption customers. Bermuda's banks can address the island-wide need to increase the flow of credit to help reflate the economy, providing Bermudians with the support they need for their business ventures, their educational ambitions, and their dreams of home ownership. And to Bermuda's grocers, in particular Lindo's, Supermart and the Marketplace, the government applauds their commitment to ease the cost of groceries with 10% discount Wednesdays from November 2013 to November 2014. Thousands of customers respect and appreciate them for it. These grocers have agreed to extend the discount regime until the 15th of February 2015 to help families through the Christmas and the New Year period. The government takes this opportunity to urge its continuation through the year for the greater good. The success of both arms of the government's economic strategy is vital for improving the quality of life. The government is encouraged by the gathering signs of recovery and by positive change in its fiscal position, with the first half of the current fiscal year showing a 6% reduction in spending and a 1.1% rise in revenue. If current trajectories hold, the financial year 2014-15 will be the year in which the island, after years of recession, finally moves from decline to real growth. This macroeconomic shift, however, has not yet had an appreciable effect on quality of life across the island. The government will continue to put in place confidence-building policies for broad economic recovery, but there clearly is some distance to go before the turnaround generates the level of activity that enables out-of-work and underemployed Bermudians to regain their role as providers for their families and dependents.
And with crime down substantially, the governor was able to look at those areas where there was still a need for community involvement.
Bermuda needs a criminal justice system which is efficient, effective, and fair. A system that addresses the needs of criminal defendants, the victims of crime, and the public in general. All of us have an interest in a system that acquits the innocent and convicts the guilty expeditiously. To these ends, and with the view that justice delayed is justice denied, the government is reviewing criminal procedure for the purpose of modernising the administration of justice to make it more efficient and effective. Madam President and members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Assembly, Bermuda must continue to be a society that protects its most vulnerable. The recent meeting of the Interpol Specialist Group on Crimes Against Children was a sobering opportunity to hear from leading experts on a problem that is ravaging lives, families, and communities across the world. Bermuda is no exception. Government, accordingly, is assessing what new measures can be taken to protect and support children, starting with amendments to the Criminal Code Act 1907, outlawing simple possession of child pornography. Madam President and members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Assembly, domestic abuse is a serious problem in Bermuda, creating untold trauma for its victims, women, children and men, and giving rise to other social ills. The extent of the problem is particularly troubling, with a 2011 government health survey reporting 1 in 3 women affected by domestic abuse.
Although the Bermuda government has been able to reduce the huge loss it has inherited, the governor warned his listeners that this was still in an unsustainable position.
The government is acutely aware that plans to control public sector spending have generated uncertainty and fear amongst public sector employees. These feelings are understandable. Public sector workers were duly hired by the government, and the need to reform the civil service has come about through no fault of their own. The overarching reality that must be addressed is that they are employed in an organisation that Bermuda can no longer afford to maintain at current levels. The facts of the situation are indisputable. Finance Ministry figures show that the cost to run the government in financial year 2013 to 14 produced a deficit of $333 million. This year, the deficit is expected to be $267 million. While the figures show that the government, with the cooperation of the Bermuda Trade Union Congress, has made headway on deficit reduction, the situation requires deeper action. The government, consequently, will continue working with the BTUC to get under control a situation that presents a clear and present danger to the island.
And now, here's Earl Baisden with today's Sports Report.
Last night it was a triple header of First Division football. The Boulevard Blazers have not played since their 3-0 win over Paget Lions more than a month ago. They proved they had no rust as they defeated BAA 6-1 at the BAA field. All 7 goals came in the first half, with the Boulevard Blazers adjusting to the wet conditions better than BAA. Boulevard went back to the top of the table. They got 2 goals from Ty Vince Douglas and Ian Coke, while Donye Taylor and an own goal accounted for the other. Joshua De Silva scored the lone goal for BAA. At the Devonshire Recreation Club, St. David's defeated Crossroads 2-1. Timon Daniels gave Crossroads the lead in the 21st minute when he scored from the penalty spot, but an own goal leveled the match at 1-1 in the 30th minute. The winner came in the 75th minute when Justin Pitcher scored for St. David's. In the nightcap at the Devonshire Recreation Club, Wolves defeated the Paget Lions in a 7-goal thriller, 4-3. Wolves got goals from Stephen Brimmer, Antoine Brengman, Kyle Brengman, and Sergio Richardson, while Arrington Smith scored a hat-trick for the Paget Lions. The Bermuda Football Association announced that Sergeant Lyndon Rayner attended the FIFA CONCACAF seminar for national security officers in Miami, Florida. The seminar was attended by one representative acting in the capacity of national security officer from each one of the member associates of CONCACAF. BFA General Secretary David Sabir was also in attendance at the seminar in his capacity as a member of CONCACAF Security and Fair Play Committee, as well as FIFA Security and Integrity Committee. General Secretary Sabir also presented a proposal at the conclusion of the seminar to the delegates for CONCACAF to establish a network of national security officers whereby the outcomes of the seminar will continue to resonate among the delegates long beyond their travels back to their respective countries. The Thomas College men's soccer team have 3 players, including Trey Ming, that have received recognition by the North Atlantic Conference for their play during the 2014 season. Ming was named to the first team All-Conference. Ming, a midfielder, earns his 2nd consecutive All-Conference selection. He's elevated to the first team this season. Ming currently leads the conference with 12 assists on the year. He is tied for 3rd with 28 points and is Thomas College's 2nd leading goal scorer with 8. In his 2 years at Thomas College soccer team, Ming has now accumulated 14 goals, 20 assists, and 48 points. Meanwhile, 7 members of the Southern Connecticut State University men's soccer team, including freshman Shea Brengman, have been awarded with a year-ending honors from the Northeast 10 Conference. Brengman was named Rookie of the Year by the league coaches. He's also named to the league's All-Rookie team. Brengman started off his collegiate career quite well, finishing his freshman year, tied for second in points on the team with 12. He scored 5 goals and had 2 assists in 15 games. Michael Franklin began competing in the $5,000 The Park Estate Bexley Squash Open at the Bexley Tennis Squash and Racquetball Club in England. Franklin was playing in the first round qualifier. He took on Joshua Masters from England. Franklin went down in a 4-set battle that took 42 minutes to complete. Masters won the first set 11-5, but Franklin would fight back and win the second set 11-7. Masters would go back in front, winning the third set 11-3, and then he would close out the match, winning the fourth set 11-6. Ahead of the influx of former international players taking part in next week's World Rugby Classic, IBR Hall of Famer Fasale Serevi and Ben Guzlin, the leading international point scorer of all time, arrived in Bermuda as part of the XL Group's annual series of Serevi Rugby Visit to the island. The development program, now in its third year, will see the pair alongside U.S. Eagles Sean Pittman and Pate Tovolka visit Gilbert Institute, Cedar Bridge Academy, and the Beyond Rugby program before spending the weekend fine-tuning the men's and women's national teams ahead of the upcoming CAC Games and the NACRA Sevens Championships. The second spring senior bowling league season continued at the Warwick Lanes, where the Tigers went down 3-1 to the newcomers. The Islanders defeated the Last Pins 4-0. The Blue Angels defeated the Drifters 3-1. The Last Minutes defeated Old and Kickin' 3.5 to 1/2, and the Pin Splitters fell 3-1 to Go and Get It. I'm Earl Baston reporting for VSB Sports.
Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Friday, November 7th. I'm Peter Kitzel.